Nintendo, man, it's impossible to hate Nintendo. The company has been a thing for over 100 years, and while they've only been creating video games for a few of those, their games have gone down as some of the most influential forms of media the world has to offer. Nintendo is home to some of the most iconic franchises of all time, as well as the highest grossing franchise of all time. Yes, Pokemon, I'm looking at you. I found this Nintendo Myth Iceberg on the Iceberg subreddit, and by popular demand, I'm going to show you and explain some of the juiciest, some of the zestiest, and some of the most interesting this iceberg has to offer. Thank you everyone for voting on it, by the way. Now, I think it just has to be said that I'm not a Nintendo expert, I'm just a casual fan, and so if I get anything wrong, please let me know down in the comments and try to be respectful. So without further ado, this is the Nintendo Myth/Urban Legend Iceberg Explained. Up first, we have the Mew Under the Truck. So in the original games, near the SS Anne ship in Vermilion City, there is a secret ledge that is home to a weirdly placed truck. This is doubly weird because most objects in the game only served a purpose to the plot due to the technical limitations of the game at the time. I mean, it was released in the 1990s after all. You had to use surf to go over to the truck, which you can only get after you've completed the SS Anne, even though there are ways around that. And some people thought that if you were able to use strength on the truck, Mew would appear. As while Mew was never announced to be in the game, some people were actually able to catch it. But yeah, the idea was that if you kind of went over to the ledge and you surf, you could kind of obtain Mew. Regardless, this myth is debunked, unfortunately. The actual way to catch Mew in the game is to exploit a glitch. The truck, on the other hand, was simply only there for scenery, as confirmed by the game's designers. So long, gay Bowser! Back in Super Mario 64, there's an audio line that plays when Mario throws Bowser, and I'll just play it for you now. So long, gay Bowser! So a lot of people think that Mario says, "So long, gay Bowser" here, when in actuality he's meant to say, "So long, King Bowser." So long, gay Bowser! Super Mario 3D All-Stars has since removed the audio line due to probably the meme that spread online, much to everyone, including my own, disappointment. Bye-bye! It now just says bye-bye, hence Bowser is now bye. Like Mario is outing Bowser now. Holding down certain buttons gives you a higher chance of capture is referring to a Pokemon myth that if you hold down a certain combination of buttons, most famously B and down on the D-pad, your chance of capturing a Pokemon goes up. This is again unfortunately not true, as there haven't been any confirmed ways of increasing your chance of capture any other way than lowering a Pokemon's HP using items or specific moves. In the original Luigi's Mansion, Luigi's shadow can be seen hanging from above the ground in some instances, making it look like he's hanging. The most widely known instance of this occurs if the lightning flashes whilst Luigi is answering a call in the telephone room. This has been put down to a lighting glitch, as the position of the light source depends on the camera, which is normally at a fixed angle throughout the game, and when it's too low, this glitch occurs. As far as I'm aware, this glitch is actually exclusive to the original and is not in the 3DS remake. You are Mr. Gay. This one is so infamous online that even Vsauce kind of mentioned it in one of his videos.
You are Mr. Gay. Mario.
But if you spell out the letters of each word in the Super Mario Galaxy title that has a star on it, it spells, "You are Mr. Gay." You know, it might be up to chance, you know.
Coincidence? I think.
Because in the sequel, Super Mario Galaxy 2, the stars align again, figuratively speaking, spelling U-R-M-I-A-Y, which spells Yurmie. I mean, that might seem innocent enough until you turn those letters backwards, and it spells Yeah, I-M-R-U. Now, as far as I'm aware, I'm not sure if Nintendo has ever addressed this. They changed it in the sequel in an attempt to get rid of it, but people kind of found another link, which is quite funny. As far back as time itself, Nintendo gamers have been hyped for the reveal of Mewthree, a continuation of Mew and Mewtwo. However, since time itself, Mewthree has never been made unless you count some Clefairy Mewthree, which is kind of like a weird thing there, then no, it doesn't exist. And I don't really have much more to say about it other than this is yet another rumour from the original games that doesn't really have much backing. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, the infamous Grinch Leak is guessing at the supposed leak of Super Smash Bros. Characters that hadn't been announced just before the time of launch of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Those characters included Shadow, Banjo-Kazooie, Ken, Mack Ryder, Geno, and Chorus Kids. The reason it was called the Grinch Leak was due to pictures of Grinch in the background, leading some people to believe that the leaks came from a graphic printing shop, and therefore the leaks were real. It was not, however, as both Ken and Incineroar were the last Smash characters to be revealed before launch. I'll keep Peekaboo kind of short because there's not really much to it. This is a Pikachu. This is a Marill. It looks similar to Pikachu. it's blue, it's a Peekaboo. In actuality, Marill was one of the most hyped Pokemon in Gen 2, and in an era before the internet and access to rapidly fast translations, people kind of thought that this Japanese mouse was a Pikachu, and just because it was blue, it became a Peekaboo. So I don't really know, there's not too much else to say to that. Noki Bay Book. Okay, so in the third episode of Noki Bay in Super Mario Sunshine, at the bottom of the bottle, there are some ruins, and inside the ruins is an oddly placed book. Now, this is kind of like the truck in the original Pokemon games, as people ask, why is there a book inside ruins you can't access unless you can get a glitch to go inside? Well, the general consensus is that the book is part of a scrap level, as it was part of a fetch quest. Nothing too sinister, but as far as I'm aware, this has never been confirmed, so perhaps there is a true hidden meaning still waiting to be deciphered. Probably not though, it was probably just a scrap level. Brutus the Bulldog. So in the original Animal Crossing game, there were rumours of a villager called Brutus the Bulldog that would go around and terrorise players of the game. He was a purple bulldog with red eyes, and would kind of enter players' games and grief them by chopping down their trees and such, kidnapping their villagers and crashing the games. Now, there's never been any confirmation of this, but I'm inclined to believe that this is just a bit of a creepypasta. Even so, I'd be interested to know if anyone's actually ever encountered Brutus. We're definitely moving down the iceberg now. Lavender Town Syndrome. Okay, I'm going to debunk this one immediately. The myth is that in the original Pokemon games, there is a location titled Lavender Town that is home to a cemetery for dead Pokemon, and the music that plays inside has caused hundreds of children to commit suicide. This is expressly false. This rumour spawned from a creepypasta posted over a decade ago, and while yes, the music is very jarring and very hard to listen to, it did not cause mass suicide. Super Hornio Bros. Okay, so Super Hornio Bros is a pornographic parody of, obviously, the Super Mario Brothers. Now, the interesting thing is that both it and its sequel, Super Hornio Brothers 2, are owned by none other than Nintendo. What kind of sick game are Nintendo at? Why? Why do they own the rights to these films? Well, the reason is because, no, they don't use it for personal use. They bought it to stop distribution. They didn't want this coming out. Nintendo is a family-friendly kind of brand. They didn't want it getting out. However, by doing so, Nintendo is technically a company that owns a porno. So they just had to bite the bullet on that one, to be fair. The Wario Apparition is yet another creepypasta that revolves around some weird ghost Wario appearing in Super Mario 64. I mean, I don't even know what this thing's meant to be, but I kind of feel like this is just a bit of a vibe, to be fair. Like, who even made this? Unfortunately, it is fake and can't be summoned in the game. This kind of ties into the every Super Mario 64 is personalized theory. Again, it's just a fun conspiracy theory, but it doesn't actually have any grounds in reality as far as I am aware. Pokemon Creepy Black is supposed to be a bootleg of Pokemon Red with a twist. In Creepy Black, you can apparently kill trainers and Pokemon. Basically, in the game, you start off with your starter as well as Ghost, and that Ghost is the same Ghost in Lavender Town. The Ghost has one move, and that move is Curse, which apparently kills the other Pokemon. Again, this isn't true, this is just another creepypasta, evidenced by the fact that the original poster of this theory said that he lost the game, and so I think overall it does kind of seem quite false. Mean Girls the video game. Okay, I actually have quite a lot to say about this one. So it's a lost treasure that was never meant to be. It was meant to come out in 2010, but has since been lost, never to be found or played. Basically, in 2008, Paramount Movie Studios announced 3 video games made by Nintendo based off some of their most well-received movies. Those being Clueless, Pretty in Pink, and Mean Girls. This was in an attempt to appeal to a wider demographic of young girls. However, both Clueless and Pretty in Pink were cancelled, but Mean Girls was meant to have been released. There were screenshots of the finished game in kind of like Italian websites and stuff, so the question is, where was it? Well, apparently, as it turns out, no one bought it. It was released in Europe a few months before it was meant to be released in America, and it sold horrendously in Europe. It sold so badly, in fact, they just decided not to even release it in America. And so despite there being copies out there somewhere, some 20 or so year old women have this kind of hidden game at the back of their drawer somewhere, and they don't even know it. They don't even know how valuable it might be. I still think it's funny though that a bunch of middle-aged American Nintendo gamers still like a decade later are trying to track down Mean Girls for the DS. Like, we must have it! We must find this game! buy it or die. So some people think that if you run Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green on a pirated copy or an emulator, there's this nice kind of sailor chap here who will tell you to either buy the game or die as a way of scaring people into buying the game. Now, would Nintendo do this? No. Is this real? From what I've seen people say online, no. Would it be funny? Yeah, kind of. I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm just saying fake, false, fake, not real. I don't know. Except for the Mean Girls game, that one was real. Getting into the real depths of the iceberg now, we have the 4th Zelda CDI game, and I don't even know what to say about this one, except I wish it was real, because the memes spawned by the Zelda CDI games were just legendary, like, Squadala, and dinner, and you must die! Oh, I love them. Up next, we have the fact that Nintendo was nearly nuked. Now, as far as I'm aware, this is actually true. As we know, in what was one of the world's most shocking acts, both Hiroshima and Nagasaki were nuked on August 6th and August 9th, 1945 respectively. However, initially, it wasn't meant to be Nagasaki that was nuked. Instead, it was meant to be Kyoto, where Nintendo was, as well as millions of civilians. US Secretary of War Henry Stimson was adamant that Kyoto should have not been nuked due to its historical and cultural significance, and on July 24th, 1945, it was removed from the potential cities to be nuked. However, replacing it was Nagasaki. Even so, without the change of plan, Nintendo would have surely been nuked, and would have never existed to become what we see it as today. And finally, we have one of the biggest myths. My dad works at Nintendo. Now, despite what someone might tell you, if they tell you their dad works at Nintendo, they are probably lying. I know, big shocker, right? It's like when someone says their dad works at Microsoft or YouTube, the likelihood is they don't. Okay, that's it from me. I want to sincerely thank everyone that voted on the poll. Depending on how this video does, I might continue making these polls, just because I think that it's probably better to get some insight into what people would have wanted, rather than just winging it. So thank you very much to everyone who voted. As I said earlier, I'm not a die-hard Nintendo fan, like some people, so if I made any mistakes here, please let me know down in the comments, and just try to be respectful about it. Regardless, join my Discord, the link is in the description. Follow me on Twitter at Foxakimbo, and send iceberg charts to foxakimbo@gmail.com. Also, finally, let me know what you'd like to see me do next, as I'm only 29 videos in, and I'm already out of ideas. Thank you for watching.